Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. I have made a lot of videos, and the purpose of my work is largely to awaken the masses and help stop the ongoing wrongdoing that is perpetuated by the powers that be of this world, the people who control media, the people who control government. If you go to my blog, which you're looking at on the screen, my very first post, I write essentially my mission statement, saying I'm doing this work, putting out this research to help stop the next September 11th and end the tyranny of this world. So with that said, to date, this could prove to be my most important post that I've ever done. I think I have figured out when the next September 11th is, if you will. I think the next September 11th for the United States of America will be the assassination of the 44th President, Barack Obama. And I suspect it will happen on May 23rd of this year, 2016. There's also a possibility that I'm reading this assassination date for the wrong person. It's a possibility that on this date there is an assassination attempt on a presidential hopeful, most likely Donald Trump. So I'm going to get to both of these things. If you're new to my channel, I show how wrongdoing is forecasted in mainstream productions, from movies to TV shows to even ongoing news stories, which are often propaganda and part of an ongoing riddle. In this video, we're going to talk about the recent Kalamazoo, Michigan shooting hoax and the recent Hesston, Kansas shooting hoax, and what that has to do with May 23rd and a potential assassination. If you're new here, I have more than 1,000 videos before this one supporting the points I'm about to make. So understand this is part of an ongoing research project dating back several years. I've been putting out this work on my blog since 2013, and I've been doing this work essentially since 2001 when September 11th happened. I was 18 years old that day. A personal mission of mine became to bring people to justice who are really responsible for the actions of that day. And I see this work as part of that justice, part of that process. So with that said, let's get into why I am concerned about May 23rd. On February 20th, 2016, it was reported that an Uber driver, if you don't know what that is, that's the new personal taxi service that has emerged in recent history. The story was that one of these Uber drivers went on a killing spree while doing his Uber cab driver rounds. A completely ridiculous story with no evidence to support it other than media hearsay, which is true of most propaganda in the media. So when I heard about this shooting, it reminded me of the film Taxi Driver starring Robert De Niro, that's set in a political year where people are running for the president. Just like this year, 2016, the year of the Uber driver shooting. This movie came out in 1976, which was an election year. 2016, an election year. And if you haven't seen the film, Robert De Niro's character is a 26-year-old man, a man fed up with the world. He thinks the world's a disgusting place, and he has these fantasies of killing. And one of the things that's alluded to in the movie is he's thinking about a political assassination, showing up at presidential rallies, attracting the attention of the Secret Service. So I've already done a video on the connections between Taxi Driver and the Uber shooting. I will link that video in the description. In case you missed it, here are the things I want you to know. Robert De Niro's character is named Travis Bickle, having gematria 59. Let me zoom that in for those of you who are having trouble seeing. Travis Bickle, gematria 59. They said the shooter's name in the Uber driver shooting out of Kalamazoo, Michigan was named Jason. Jason has gematria 59, and so does the phrase Uber driver. They call him the Uber driver killer. The word kill in Jewish gematria equals 59. Notice in simple English gematria, kill equals 44. Think about how Obama's the 44th president. In history, the first president to die in office died on April 4th, 4-4. William Henry Harrison, the 9th president. The next president to die in office will be the 9th president to do so. Also in history, two very famous black Americans. Malcolm X died on a date with a life lesson number of 44. His assassin had name gematria of 44 and got a 44-year prison sentence. Martin Luther King Jr. also died on 4-4, April 4th. And there's a major connection between 44 and April 4th in gematria in the English language. Notice how 44 sums to 144. Notice April, whoops, got to spell right in gematria, otherwise you won't get the right results. April 4th, when spelled correctly, also sums to 144. And May 23rd, because it's a leap year, will be the 144th day of the year, which we're getting to. Also in this film, Jodie Foster stars as a young prostitute. Jodie Foster in gematria sums to 54, just like the word taxi. This was her first movie. It was filmed when she was a 12-year-old. This year, November 19th, 2016, Jodie Foster is going to turn 54. You might recall in the Reagan assassination attempt, which was a hoax put on by an actor, Ronald Reagan, the assassin was said to be doing it to impress Jodie Foster. John Hinckley has a life lesson number of 54, which we'll get to. This is Jodie Foster's birthday. She'll be turning 54 later this year, born November 19th, 1962. Also, in the film, De Niro's character drives a checker cab. The reason that's interesting is because checker cabs were produced in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where the Uber driver shooting hoax took place that was a tribute to the film Taxi Driver. I have a video on the connections between checker cab, Taxi Driver, and the Uber driver shooting. Notice that production of checker cabs began 93 years ago this year. 1923 to 2016 is 93 years. From the date of the Uber driver shooting hoax to the date of May 23rd is a span of 93 days. 93, a number of occult sacrifice having to do with Saturn worship. The word crucifix also has gematria of 93. Think about the crucifix sacrifice. If you're not aware, the film Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro, where he plays Travis Bickle, it's based on a real-life assassin, Arthur Bremer, who plotted to kill Nixon and who plotted to kill George Wallace, who he supposedly shot in May of 1972, and 2 days before shooting George Wallace was questioned by the police in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Arthur Bremer, who Taxi Driver's based on, was questioned by police in Kalamazoo, Michigan. He shot George Wallace in May of 72. And I'm sure many of you who are watching news, who are watching mainstream media, are hearing Donald Trump be compared to George Wallace right now. I've heard it multiple times from multiple pundits. They're saying the bigotry of George Wallace is embraced in the bigotry of Donald Trump. This rhetoric is all over the mainstream media. The comparisons are being made to Donald Trump and George Wallace. And we're also seeing news headlines about assassination plots, assassination theories for Donald Trump. So clues are being dropped. Remember, presidential election year, Taxi Driver, based on a presidential election year about a man plotting to assassinate. From May of 1972 to May of 2016 is also going to be a span of 44 years. That number 44 again, the kill number. Obama, the 44th president. Again, when you write out 44, it sums to 144. May 23rd, the 144th day of the year. This year, because it's a leap year. And in the Uber driver story, we got the detail about how the final passenger, remember I did a video on this, we saw the interview where the man being interviewed had his back to the camera, something I've never seen before in the media. But he said he was the last driver. He asked the driver if he was the killer, which seems suspicious. I mean, why would he be out riding in some Uber driver's car if he was suspicious that he was the killer? But anyway, he made the point that his cab fare was $5.23, which CNN reported on. Think about 5/23, May 23rd, the 5th month, 23rd day. Seeing how this all comes together, Truth Seeker? The John Hinckley Ronald Reagan assassination attempt, major hoax. John Hinckley's birthday is May 29th, also in the month of May, 1955, a date with a life lesson number of 54. Again, Jodi Foster turning 54 this year. Supposedly he did it to impress Jodi Foster. Just read it here. John Hinckley Jr. attempted to assassinate U.S. President Ronald Reagan in Washington, D.C. on March 30th, 1981, at the culmination of an effort to impress actress Jodi Foster. Think about it. This is a show put on by actors, a hoax, with a tribute to an actress. And an actress that seemingly is tied to an ongoing, well-written out and planned conspiracy. And this is what I am educating people about. The things that happen in the news today, tomorrow, next month, they're often planned out decades in advance. September 11th is something that was planned from the end of World War II at least, something I have documented in a number of ways, something that 9/11 Commissioner Bob Kerrey, former governor, former congressman, has even admitted to. He says that 9/11 was at least a 30-year conspiracy. His words, not mine. That's someone who served on the 9/11 Commission, who's speaking a little bit of truth. What else is interesting about John Hinckley is his date of birth, May 29th. It's the 149th day of the year, leaving 216 days remaining. Skull and Bones is connected to the number 149. 216 is a backhanded way of getting to 666. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. Just yesterday, Nancy Reagan died on 3/6. I have a video showing all the 666 tributes within that date. Remember, Reagan and Nancy, when they first bought their home in Hollywood, they bought a home at an address of 666, which they changed to 668. None of this is a coincidence. It is the Zionist Jews, the Kabbalists, who run Hollywood, who run our government, who worship these numbers. These are their signatures, their trademarks. They are the plotters and planners of this ongoing conspiracy. Anyhow, his birthday reflects well with Obama's, which is supposedly August 4th. Obama's born August 4th, the 216th day of the year, leaving 149 days remaining. His birthday is the reflection of John Hinckley's birthday. See how this goes? As for the date of the assassination attempt, major hoax date, 3/30/1981, having numerology of 133, just like White House, just like government. This was an assassination attempt on the new president, Ronald Reagan. That date, 3/30, also has numerology of 33, the number often of the hoax. It happened at a Hilton hotel. Hilton has gematria of 33, just like Norway, where Hilton's out of. See what's going on here, Truth Seeker? Just the other day, I turned on CNN. They had on this pundit who teaches at Princeton. He was going on and on about how Donald Trump's just like George Wallace, one of many people in the media making this comparison. What I noticed about this character, though, Professor Julian Zelizer, is his name gematria. Very interesting name gematria on this guy. 119, hallmark of the Masons and Zionists, all-seeing eye equals 119, Star of David equals 119. Also, with the S exceptions, 137, the 33rd prime number, another number that shows up in a big way in propaganda. Also, Washington, D.C. equals 137, federal equals 33. 137, the 33rd prime, Washington, D.C., the headquarters of the federal government. So, we talked about the 523 cab fare in the Uber driver shooting. Days later, there was another shooting hoax in Hesston, Kansas, reminding us of Charles Hesston, the longtime spokesperson for the NRA. What I want you to notice is Hesston, Kansas has gematria of 84. Like United States of America, kind of like Obama's birthday, 8/4. Obama in Jewish gematria equals 84. And let's not forget that Obama's mother is supposedly from Kansas. Here's a shooting hoax in Kansas that's coded out corresponding with Charlton Heston, as well as with Obama. And it's another shooting by the numbers. Coded out shooter name, 666 tributes. Happened at a workplace with a 187 gematria like the homicide code. The day before, there was a shooter in Colorado with a 187 name. Shooter in Ohio at a high school with a 187 name. All these stories from the same week, all part of the ongoing propaganda, cementing in people's minds that people in this world are going crazy. People are shooting up everywhere. That's what the average person in the mainstream takes away from this propaganda. They trust the media, they believe it, they let the media set the tone in their mind's eye with all this programming. My work is to undo this, to help people see through the lies, to see the agenda for what it is. So let's look at May 23rd, and again, what's interesting about it. 2016 is a leap year, so May 23rd falls on the 144th day. When you write out 44 as a word, it sums to 144 the big way. It sums to 54 the small way. Obama is currently 54 years old. Last year I was writing about how Obama needs to be 54 to be sacrificed, because 54 is one of these numbers that has to do with ritual sacrifice showing up again and again. Obama's attorney general right now has the name Loretta Lynch. Think about that name, truth seeker. First black president with an attorney general named Loretta Lynch. I don't need to elaborate, do I? Loretta Lynch in gematria equals 54. No coincidence, all part of the coding. From Obama's birthday to May 23rd is a span of 73 days. It'll be 73 days before he turns 55. The word sacrifice, the small way, equals 46 and 55. The big way, it equals 73. Obama's also born on 8/4/61, a date with 73 numerology. So from May 23rd to his birthday, 73 days, a number that has a lot to do with sacrifice. If you count the full span of days, counting the end date, it's 74 days. 74, another number that has to do with sacrifice. Jesus equals 74. Cross equals 74. Messiah equals 74. Think about Jesus crucified on the cross at age 33. Out of the 50 states in the United States, only one has a gematria of 74, the 33rd state, Oregon. This is no coincidence. These are all fingerprints of the Masons who have created this nation and so much more. These people operate by a numerological code. They have for centuries. That's how I was able to figure this out, by decoding, countless stories from history, countless news stories, doing this for a year before I said, okay, there's no way this is a coincidence. This is 100% real. This is 100% what's going on. And from there, years later, I'm able to present like this now, showing how it's all laid out. From Lupercalia, the 44th day of the year, the day Scalia died on, the date where the media put out the headline, "What's Next?" with the face of Scalia and Obama next to it, hinting at what's next. From the 44th day of the year, the kill number, to the 144th day is obviously a span of 100 days, but it's also 14 weeks and 2 days, which reminds me of President Obama, 142. If you haven't seen my work on Scalia, you owe yourself to watch those videos. The best work in the history of the world put out on Scalia. It'll never be topped. The message is undeniable. Not to mention, from September of last year, I was saying, look for a big political death on Lupercalia, the 44th day of the year. Lo and behold, it's Scalia, which has created, this narrative in the country, this fighting, this bickering, this partisanship, liberal versus conservative, Republican versus Democrat. This is why they hoax us this way. It's all about divide and conquer, which the Freemasons operate by. Also, order through chaos. With regards to all this 144 talk, I should mention that killer in Jewish gematria equals 144. I can just show you this real quick. 44 and 144 always showing up around death. Killer in Jewish gematria, 144. And again, Truth Seeker, from February 20th to May 23rd, a span of 93 days, 54 and 93 are often paired together. Obama will be 54 years old on this day. The reason I think these numbers are paired together is because the elites essentially worship the sun. All of this stuff boils down to sun worship. The word sun has gematria of 54. They tell us the sun is 93 million miles away. Saturn also equals 93. Saturn worship, another element. As I said earlier, crucifix equals 93, Jesus on the cross. 93 days from the Kalamazoo shooting hoax to May 23rd, the 144th day of the year. Again, final cab fare of $5.23. And from the Kansas Hesston shooting, they tell us the police officer showed up at 5:23 p.m. This story came just days later and instantly killed the bad guy. For more than a year, for several years, I've been pointing out all of these news stories are propaganda, part of an ongoing agenda, little clues, little riddles dropped. The riddlers. These people are riddlers. And this is why they give us this numerical reporting, these patterns, these syncs. Here's the final cab fare from Kalamazoo, $5.23. Well, if I can get myself out of the way. Right there, Truth Seeker. Notice also the $1.15 fee right here. Killing in Jewish gematria equals 115. Notice the 3.14, the number of pi, having to do with cycles and circles. If you divide 22 by 7, 227, 22 divided by 7, you get the number for pi. And this is a number that shows up around assassinations often. They say Ronald Reagan was shot at 2:27 in the afternoon. 33 till 3 is another way to express that time. 227. They say that Abraham Lincoln died at 7:22 in the morning. JFK, if you go and watch the Zapruder film, the car he's following on the license plate is clearly seen, the number 227. The commission appointed to research his assassination had gematria of 722. All of these numbers have to do with pi, cycles, and circles because this is how the powers that be operate. You know, they have us on a planned out time schedule with the same type of history repeating by the same numbers over and over and over. I can't make this point enough. It's all part of the code. Also on here, I make out 101. The word assassin equals 101. Show you something about the word assassin in regards to JFK and Barack Obama. Notice assassin equals 101 in simple English gematria, 411 in Jewish gematria. JFK was shot from 411 Elm Street. Of course, Elm Street makes you think of Nightmare, Jason, Freddy Krueger. Anyhow, in 1961 on Christmas Day, there was an episode of the Andy Griffith Show. I have a video on this. A bootlegging family gets busted at the address of 411 Elm Street. 411 Elm Street, a bootlegging family. It's well known that the Kennedys came up on bootlegging. Kennedy equals 33, Prohibition ended in 33, Massachusetts equals 33. Anyhow, that was predictive programming in a TV show for what was to come of Kennedy. And for all of you who look at the Zapruder film and think he got his head blown off, realize that film didn't come out until decades after the fact. It wasn't even clearly visible to anyone until the 90s version. 90s, he was assassinated in 63, 11/22/63, in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Freemason. The date he died on, a date with 96 numerology. Freemason equals 96, ranging degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, 31, 32, 33. Killed in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Freemason on a date with 96 numerology. 11 plus 22, 33, plus 63 more, 96. So anyway, here's what I want to show you. That episode, Andy Griffith Show, came out Christmas Day, 1961, 144 days after Obama was born. Check this out. Obama born August 4th, 1961. Christmas Day, 1961, 12/25, 1961. You think it's a coincidence? 144 days before that episode? Remember, Barack Hussein Obama is not a real name. It's an actor agent name. It's a character name. It's a play on history before he took office. Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden, the people blamed for 9/11. Osama died at age 54. Will Obama? Very likely. So Truth Seeker, this really could prove to be my most important video. This video could get me in a lot of trouble. I'm already a man living with a death threat. Been living with it for more than 2 years now for doing this work. And part of the reason I work so hard is because I have this threat against me. I want to get out as much as I can while I can and help end this madness. My work is only about making the world a better place, holding tyrants accountable, helping free humanity. And that can only happen if more people take on this knowledge, spread this word, and start speaking truth to power. So mark down May 23rd on your calendar. We have some more curious dates coming before that. Obama's trip to Cuba is by the numbers, very suspicious. A lot of people thinking he's going to bite the dust there. But to me, that just seems too obvious. Also, as I stated, this could be a code for Donald Trump. You know, George Wallace was running for president. Donald Trump's running for president. As the media has told us, they're both bigots. People that could be marked as a target by a guy like Travis Bickle or Jason the Uber driver or whatever character the gang in power, the Masons and Zionists come up with next. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time. Encore Truth Seeker forgot one important point. James Brady, who's credited with saving Ronald Reagan in the assassination hoax that was, died 33 years after the fact on Obama's 53rd birthday. It came out that he was shot in the back of the head, murdered on Obama's 53rd birthday, August 4th, 2013. The assassination attempt was in March of 81. He died 33 years later in August of 2014 on the 44th president's birthday. And with regards to him dying 33 years later, he was born August 29th, 1940, a date with a life lesson number of 33. In the Terminator film, that's a very key date, August 29th. August 4th to August 29th, specific dates mentioned in the Terminator series. He was murdered on August 4th, 25 days before his birthday. So just one more clue in the ongoing riddle, the death of James Brady on Obama's 53rd birthday. Until next time.